everybody. If you're used to watching social media, you will be quite used to seeing lots of videos like this with me addressing you on issues that I think are quite important. But if you're not used to using social media, perhaps you haven't seen me before. So for the record, I'm Susan Machin. I founded Georgia, the refuge for mules and donkeys and now horses, with my husband Charles Hantum in 2014. And I want to talk to you today just a little bit and expand on what we have put in our newsletter to you. When we started the refuge, we anticipated we would take some donkeys and mules, and we saw there was a real gap, that a lot of associations that were established didn't have the facilities to take equines. And we stumbled into it by accident. We took a couple of donkeys who were in need to start with, and very quickly realised there was a far wider real need. So within a short space of time, I resolved to establish a charity whereby we could use our land for the benefit of these animals. And again, we just anticipated having perhaps a few donkeys and mules. Now in 2024, we have 280, and there are equines coming in most days. Some of them in dire straits, some of them starving, some of them badly injured, some of them abandoned. And the numbers have increased rapidly because of the pandemic. Firstly, when everyone closed their doors, people who were really very poor couldn't afford to feed their working animals, and they in turn were abandoned. And then we had the earthquake, where there was a huge need once again. So I don't think I need to explain more about that, but our refuge has grown beyond recognition. We now have over 50 stables and barns. Everyone is housed at night so that they're not out in the open. We have built a small hospital, and that consists of 5, 6, 7, 8 stables, and we're just about to add four more with a clinic, and we're to convert 2 of the stables into an operating theatre. We have an amazing vet who is on call day or night if we need him. And the most wonderful thing about our vet is he has taught the men who work with me how to do many of the procedures themselves. So in an emergency, Ayub, Simo, or my 2 young managers, or whoever goes with them, will actually go out, and they will, when they get to an injured animal, they have medical equipment in the car with them, or in the van, the truck, sorry. They will send a photograph to the vet, the state of the condition. The vet will tell them what to give the animal there and then, including painkillers, because a lot of these animals are in severe pain when they are found. We've never turned an animal away that has turned up at our gates, and we try to rescue as many as we can from all over Morocco. We take equines when no one else can. And we really value the fact that we have been able to grow the way we have. I've explained a little of that in my news sheet. But we've now reached a stage, and this is what I really want to explain to you, is that when we bought this land, we came over as Europeans, so we were foreign nationals, and we weren't allowed to own agricultural land. So we have 6.5 hectares, and we had to give an undertaking that we would turn it into a tourist attraction. And we had plans to build a hotel, our own villa, which is a lovely villa, and 3 more villas. That never happened. And my passion for caring about the working animals rather took over, and I hope people understand that. And that passion came not because I'm terribly cuddly and love animals and want to hug them all. It's because I believe passionately in human rights. I was a barrister, and my work involved mental health and human rights. And to me, these animals who had worked for human beings and provided a living for human beings, often for many years, were left abandoned, at the risk of being killed by wild dogs, all sorts of consequences. And that didn't seem right to me. And I was determined to do something about it. And we have. But of course, our problem now is, I never quite envisaged this happening, because we had planning permission to build the hotel and the villas. We would be told locally, well, it doesn't matter if you don't finish. You know, you don't have to finish for 20 years and you just can't sell the land. And I thought, right, bang on, no one can sell the land. And it was only recently that I discovered, because the land is in Charles's name, if he doesn't complete the project and have it approved, when he dies, if he dies first, he wouldn't be able to leave it to me because it reverts to agricultural land and I'm not a Moroccan. So it was quite dire, really. And we have had an enormous amount of help. And we now have a team of architects working with us who are drawing up new plans from scratch. And we're going to submit those to the relevant local authorities, and they are very confident that we will get our approval pretty quickly. So we're drawing up huge plans, including all our stables, everything that we're doing. We're leaving provision perhaps for a little Berber house in case that's ever needed in the future. We've made provision for a lift to be put into our villa when I'm 80 now, Charles is 82, when we get so infirm that we can't climb the stairs. And of course, that's all going to be very expensive. Now, let me explain that to you. We have good pensions. People think, oh, we're Europeans, we're terribly wealthy. No, we're not. All we had has gone into this refuge. But we recognise that we're entirely self-sufficient in terms of our living costs and expenses. And we live in the villa, and therefore we would be providing the money for the plans governing the villa, if you understand what I mean. I think the whole lot is going to come to about £15,000. So on balance, Charles and I would put in £5,000, and we would hope that the charity would be able to provide the rest so that land is converted for the future. Now, you may ask, what's the future going to be? I shall tell you. We are absolutely resolved. We have been advised by lawyers in Morocco that we shouldn't give the land to the charity because the charity will have trustees. And on our death, the trustees could sell the land if they wanted to. We can't allow that to happen. So it will be left, the ownership will be left to my family, an English will, but on the very, very strict understanding it can never be sold. And if it's to be sold, it must go to the Moroccan government. Once we get our approval through, we're planning to set up a company to own the land and the house with shareholders, including our 2 young managers. So if anything happens to Charles and I, the other shareholders can continue running it and they won't have to wait for probate. We hope that's going to work out, and provision is being made for us to be buried here on our land. So this year, quite quickly, I do believe we're going to have to raise an additional £10,000 in addition to our running costs. If people want to donate at the moment, there's a donation link on the newsletter, and over the next week or two, I'll be setting up a special fund on DonorBox, which will go out on social media. But if you did want to contribute to that cause, any donation you make, just mention land, and we know it's going to the land not to the food, not to the wages, not to the vet, not to all the medical care. I hope you do understand, and if you've any questions, of course I'm very happy. I know you'll understand, that's a rather silly statement, you're not unintelligent. But if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message directly, and I'll do my very best to answer any questions. So good night for now, and perhaps I'll appear like this in further news sheets. Goodbye.